Okay. Hi, Royce here, the vinyl junkie, and my partner in crime, Monroe, the vinyl unicorn. Moe, say hi, Mo. Everything goes through Mo. She's my therapy dog. She's my partner. She keeps the show going, really. The vinyl unicorn, Monroe. She loves her costume as well. I'm going to put her in her bed. This is where she spends the majority of her time. She sleeps here some nights. She'd rather sleep here than any place else. Okay, Mo, let's go to bed. Okay. We'll take the suit off in a little while. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We've got a great show tonight. We have Bob Dylan, master poet, storyteller, guiding spirit of the counterculture. Bob Dylan has been making music since 1961. I mean, that's a long time. And the music's as good today as it was the day he made it. Bob Dylan is absolutely fantastic. I've always loved Bob Dylan. I've had so many of his tapes and CDs and 8 tracks, all that over the years. And unfortunately, I don't have that much vinyl right now. I'm getting more. I've got some things here we're going to show tonight and talk about, and I've got some great songs. It's going to be fun. I've been active from 1961 to present. My wife and I saw Bob Dylan in concert twice. I've got something to show you on that later. I really appreciate everybody that's here. This is great. I really appreciate you guys. I'm having fun with these vinyl unboxings, and over time the show might gain a little popularity, have a few more viewers, and get a few more likes. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Monroe, the vinyl unicorn back here, really appreciates the thumbs up. Tell him, Mo. Come on, don't be so shy. Turn around, Mo. Let everybody see your pretty face. Monroe, the vinyl unicorn. So here we are. We're unboxing Bob Dylan. And, Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman in 1941. Let that soak in for a minute. Robert Allen Zimmerman. He was attending college. I'll save some of the stories. Let's get some more people on the show first before we get into it too deep. Let's see. The chat has been starting. I want to say hello, everyone. Caitlin's here. Paul S. Hi, Paul, Caitlin, Gloria, Paul. Good to see all you guys here. Thank you very much for joining the show. We're going to have a fun show tonight. It's going to be great. We've got some great music. I love Bob Dylan. I love Bob Dylan. Paul, wasn't that you and I that was talking about Arlo Guthrie a month or two ago? We were chatting about that. It was kind of he's another like storyteller poet like Bob Dylan, He's great too. There's Gloria saying hi, and Caitlin, howdy, Royce. Hi, Caitlin. How are you? Good to see you here. Appreciate all you people. Anyway, so we're getting into it. I think we'll just go ahead and open the first album right now. And the first one I wanted to show is Bob Dylan, Nashville Skyline. Okay, Bob Dylan, Nashville Skyline. And this is just a great album. And I'm going to, here's the back cover. The back cover has, it's got the songs on it. It actually has a big, long poem written by Johnny Cash. This entire poem across the back is written by Johnny Cash. And Johnny Cash, sang the very first song on this with Bob Dylan. So anyway, I'll read part of it. Okay, I don't want to go crazy reading a novel here, but it says of Bob Dylan, there are those who do not imitate, who cannot imitate, but then there are those who emulate, at times to expand further the light of an original glow, knowing that to imitate the living is mockery and to imitate the dead is robbery. There are those who are beings complete unto themselves, whole, undaunted, a source of leaves of grass, as stars, as mountains, alike. Anyway, that's just the first paragraph here. Johnny Cash is writing about Bob Dylan. I mean, I think that's pretty special, actually. And so anyway, this is a new collection of songs featuring the voice and guitar of Bob Dylan with Kenny Buttery, Charles McCoy, Peter Drake, Norman Blake, Charlie Daniels, and Bob Wilson, and guest artist Johnny Cash. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull the vinyl out. Back up and put the cover over here. Just plain sleeve. And this vinyl, actually, my wife and I just listened to this just before the show. The vinyl is super clean. There's not a scratch on it. Very, very clean. I know it's hard to see. We do the best we can to get a little bit of a glow on it and stuff. But take my word for it. I cleaned it earlier. I played both sides, and it's in excellent, excellent condition. Columbia Records. Okay. Side one, Girl from the North Country with Johnny Cash. I love that. I mean, just the idea of it being with Johnny Cash. Okay, let's see. It's gonna be a little bit easier to read off the album cover. So I'll read the album cover. Okay, so that was Girl from the North Country with Johnny Cash. Then we have Nashville Skyline Rag, To Be Alone with You, I Threw It All Away, and Peggy Day. And that's side one. Side two, I mean, who hasn't heard this song? It was a huge, huge hit. Lay, Lady, Lay. Lay, lady, lay across my big brass bed. Tell me that isn't true. Uh-oh. Country Pie. Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. And that was a great song too. I love that song. And Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. That's an awesome song. Okay, so we're going to set this over here. Pick the vinyl back up. Columbia Records. Columbia. They used to have a Columbia factory 55 miles from here in Santa Maria. And later when Columbia closed that, they pressed vinyl there. You've all seen me hold up my my album that came from Columbia, that where the guy watching the assembly line wasn't doing a very good job, and 14 albums got pressed together before the guy watching the assembly line realized there was a problem, stopped the assembly line and cleaned it up. 20, what did I say? 14, 24. I counted 24 rings here, like counting the rings of a tree. And this was actually Tom Jones. Columbia also pressed other labels. This was the Parrot label. It's Tom Jones live. Okay, I just thought I'd show that once again, just because we were talking about Columbia. But anyway, so Columbia Records. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was. Let me find the date here real quick. Okay. All right. Well, I believe this is 1973 is what I read. Okay. All right. We'll put this down. Let me put the album back in the sleeve to keep it protected. So how's everybody doing tonight? Anybody got a favorite Bob Dylan song? Gloria, look at Monroe. You got a picture of a unicorn. That's awesome. Daddy Boggs, Monroe. Yeah, she's pretty. Oh my God, look at her. She's so sweet. I mean, she really is a good girl. But you know what? She loves her outfit. Loves it enough to have not really bit me, but nipped at me about 4 times while I was trying to put it on her. It's okay, Molly. You're happy being a unicorn. Okay. So let's see who's in the chat here. We got Caitlin, we got Gloria, Daddy Boggs, Caitlin, Paul, George, how you doing, buddy? Okay, thanks, George. I'm happy to see you here, George. Very happy to see you here. Okay. So again, let's go back to Bob Dylan. You know, before I go any further, I think it's important to do a couple of shout outs to my friends that are trying to, not trying, but have shows. Some of them had shows much longer than mine. So I want to give a shout out to two of my friends that had YouTube shows. Caitlin's Corner. Thank you very much, Caitlin Stoddard. I've been enjoying your shows. Nobody knows more about sports than Caitlin. It's like watching the Jim Rome show, Romy, you know, where he's always talking about, you know, people are talking smack and this. And I used to love that show, but Caitlin knows more than Jim Rome. You know, Caitlin has a, you know, I'm covering vinyl. Caitlin covers everything. A very, very knowledgeable girl. She knows so much about so many things. Caitlin knows a lot about a lot of things. Okay, the next YouTube show I want to give a shout out to is my younger brother, my baby brother, Richard Floyd, middle name Floyd, Richard Floyd. Okay, Richard Floyd, he put a video on today and is describing why he named himself, his show name is Floyd Moses. If you go to YouTube and type in Floyd Moses, it'll come up and you'll get a better idea about what his show is going to be like. It's just in its infancy. He's doing testing and stuff. But, you know, my brother was a fantastic musician. I mentioned this before. My brother and his wife had a duo, and they were being written up by Forrest Duke, who wrote up all the major acts in Vegas. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Don Rickles, Elvis, a must-see duo, the Eddings duo. That was my younger brother and his wife. In fact, Wayne Newton offered my younger brother a guitar playing job in his band. So my brother's writing music right now. He always plays one or two songs on his shows. He's just getting going. He really wants to get out amongst the public and interview people and, you know, go to homeless camps, interview homeless people. He wants to go to restaurants, interview people, how they're enjoying the food. But my brother's got a hell of a sense of humor. He's just kind of finding his legs right now. But I think if you start to watch his show, you're going to really, really enjoy it. Floyd Moses, it's going to be a fantastic show. He's really going to do well. And so check it out. YouTube, we've got Caitlin's Corner, and we've got Floyd Moses. Okay, now when we move to Facebook, we have our good friend, Dan McNew, Just the Facts, Let's Talk. Just the Facts, Let's Talk. Now, Dan's got a great show, and it's quite a variety. It's strong on the music, and it's strong on just events throughout history. I mean, space shuttles blowing up, meeting Elvis in Hawaii, bands that he's sang, some backup vocals in, him and his wife. And he's had some tragedy in his family lately, so it's a little slow. Other people are allowed to make posts and stuff. But when Dan gets charging forward, which I have a feeling is going to be in July for sure. But I would go there now and just see what Dan's capable of. Dan is capable of a lot. Dan's a very talented guy, and he's done a lot. He organized the Ride for Dimebag Darrell of Pantera when Dimebag Darrell died. And it was a Harley-Davidson run that they did every single year. And Dan was the ringleader of that. And Ozzy Osbourne's wife approached Dan to organize a ride for something else. I don't remember exactly what that was. But Dan's done a lot of stuff. He has a lot of history with bands. He's a huge music fan. And Dan's show is fantastic. Like I said, there's a little lull right now because he's had some family problems. His wife passed away, sadly. But anyway, when Dan really gets going again, it's a must-see show. Okay, and the other the Facebook shows. Dan, Just the Facts, Let's Talk is Facebook. The other Facebook show I want to mention is In the Kitchen with Alexis. That's my granddaughter, my heart, In the Kitchen with Alexis. And she cooks and bakes and does stuff in the kitchen. But, she's also an insurance underwriter. She sells with Pampered Chef, but she also, this one's full of margarita right now. This is my favorite cup, Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix. She's been making these cups, not just this style of cup, but any size, it could look like a mason jar, like a coffee mug. It's got a great sealed lid on top. Keeps my margarita really cold. She also makes pens that can actually match your cup with your logos on them. These can have your logos on them. She's made them for so many people on the show. I mean, Linda Foster has a Dark Side of the Moon logo on hers. Her husband has Leon Russell on his. Oy vey, Michael, has, of course, Kiss. And so many of the people from the show have actually bought these from her. She does an excellent job, and she's just a real sweet girl. My oldest granddaughter had her first 2 birthdays while she was living in my house, and I just love her to death. So her and Just the Facts are on Facebook. Caitlin and Floyd Moses are on YouTube. Okay. Now, one thing I want to say about Bob Dylan, I got to see Bob Dylan twice in concert. And this was kind of a program I bought at one of the concerts. Now, one of the concerts I saw with Bob Dylan, it was Bob Dylan and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were co-headliners. And so Bob Dylan came out first and just ripped through an amazing set. It was pretty much all new stuff. He didn't even play an acoustic guitar. He was just ripping on the Fender Stratocaster like I've never seen him before. And he went backstage, and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers came out, and they did a huge set, just fantastic. Both of them, fantastic. Everybody loves Tom Petty, though. And then when Tom Petty got done, Bob Dylan came back out, and Bob Dylan played with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I mean, you talk about a show. Oh, my God. But, okay, so this show, here's Betty and mine's tickets right here. I got our tickets stapled into this booklet. And this show was at the Paso Robles Fairgrounds, like, most of the concerts we've seen in the last 35 years, because it's 9 miles from home and they have major acts. Only $48 at the time. Bob Dylan, fair entry. This was July 27th, 2007. So it was 14 years ago. 14 years ago. And this was a great show. Look at that. Seat 39. 38 and 39, row J. These were good seats. I mean, we had good seats. And this is great. I mean, check this out. Bob Dylan. We'll flip through a page or two here. We don't need. It's a pretty big booklet here, actually. Bob Dylan. Look at Bob Dylan. He's so young here. Looks like he's 15 years old. Look at that. Here he is with Grateful Dead. Oh, with so many people. Bruce Springsteen down here. Of course, it's Bob Dylan. Santana up here, Carlos Santana. That's great. This is just great stuff. Look at him here, all cowboyed up. Look at that. Tonight, live on stage, Bob Dylan. Oh my God, he's sitting on a Harley Davidson. It's like a total G. Looks like a gangster. Looks like my old Harley too. Yeah, this is a great book. There's a lot here. Bob Dylan, Modern Times. The many faces of Bob Dylan, let me tell you. But anyway, this was 2007. Betty and I went to see Bob Dylan. It was a great concert. Really enjoyed it. I'm sitting here really enjoying the magazine. Nobody else can see it. Okay, there's our tickets. Anyway, so great show. I'm really happy I got to see him. 1961 to present. Born Robert Allen Zimmerman in 1941. So that makes him 80? I think it makes him 80 years old. Yeah, it does. He's, wow, 80 years old. That's crazy. So anyway, so where did he get his name? He took the name Dylan from a Welsh poet. Bob, there's a Welsh poet named Dylan, and Zimmerman took his name. And his first album came out in 1962, self-titled album. But his big breakthrough was his second album titled Freewheeling. And that's, let me see, I have a note here. Following year. Oh, okay. No, that was the following year. The following year, after his debut self-titled album, Freewheeling came out, and that was a hit, and that made Bob Dylan. It's 39 studio albums, 95 singles, 17 extended plays, 52 music videos. In fact, when I was in England, I have a video on my YouTube channel in my vacation playlist, and it's me and Jordan the Lion standing in the alley where Bob Dylan was credited with making maybe the very first rock video. Homesick Blues, Subterranean Homesick Blues. And it was hard to understand what he was saying during the song. So he was being criticized for using foul language. So Bob Dylan went into this alley. Jordan the Lion and I sat in the alley filming ourselves with where Bob Dylan would have been standing behind us, listening to the song Subterranean Homesick Blues, and watching a video on the other phone of Bob Dylan. And he brought these great big placards. There'd be 4 or 5 words on one. He'd throw the next. He was showing all the words to the song to make the point there was no foul language. And so that's what happened in that alley. And Jordan the Lion took me there, and we filmed that together, made that video. We're both in it. Anyway, that was fun. So, okay, we're going to get to something now. Let's just take a quick look at the chat. Daddy Bog. Oh, yes, it was George Harrison. I'm way, way behind here. Thunder on the Mountain, a great song, video by Bob Dylan. I can't remember. Okay. Gloria, Daddy Bog, Paul S. The Past in the Past, and You've Always Been Nice to Me. Okay. I'm not even going to ask. Okay, let's look at the next album. This is a fun one. I had to throw this in just because I actually saw the movie. And it is the Bob Dylan soundtrack, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Betty and I saw this at the drive-in. We were a little disappointed in the movie. The music was great, but the movie was one of those movies where it was all dark, you know. I mean, there was no like light. It was like everything was dark, you know. You've probably seen one like that before. It was okay, but it was dark. It was, especially at a drive-in, you know, if it's dark at a drive-in, it's dark. So anyway, so this is Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, and this is the soundtrack. Check that out. Look at that. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Okay, we're going to kind of read down through some of this. Just give me 1 second, since the writing's kind of small. Look at Mo is just really adapting over here. We're going to put some. Sorry about the little interruption. I had a pair of these on my desk, but everything going on, they got set aside. Okay, so we've got soundtrack by Bob Dylan, Part 1, main title theme, Billy. Okay, Booker T. Remember Booker T and the MGs? Okay, Booker T, Bruce Langhorne, and Bob Dylan. And on the tambourine was Russ Kunkel. Yeah, okay. And then we go to Catalina theme, Working for the Law. And there we have Roger McGuinn, Bruce Langhorne, Bob Dylan, surprise, surprise. And the bongos, once again, Russ Kunkel. Okay, then we go to a part in the show called Billy One. And again, Booker T, Bruce Langhorne, and Bob Dylan making the music. Then we go to what's called the Bunkhouse theme. And we've got Carol Hunter and Bob Dylan. Then we go to River theme, Booker T, Bruce Langhorne, and Bob Dylan. And there are voices. I mean, there's a movie going on here, and there are people talking. And the voices are Donna Weiss, Priscilla Jones, and Byron Berlin. Okay, then we go to Part 2, Turkey Chase, it's called. And we've got on fiddle, Brian Berline, banjo, Jolly Roger, acoustic guitar, Bruce Langhorne, rhythm guitar, Bob Dylan. Okay, bass, Booker T. Okay, then we go to Knocking on Heaven's Door. I love that song. Everybody's covered that song. That's a great song. Okay, Terry Paul, Roger McGuinn, Jim Keltner, and Bob Dylan. And there's the voices are listed again. Then we get to the final theme, and we've got guitars, Roger McGuinn, Carol Hunter, and Bob Dylan, and then voices, people in the background. We also had Terry Paul on bass and Jim Keltner again on drums. He seems to do all the percussion. Then we go to Billy Four, and it's recorded in Mexico City. Billy Four is, and we've got Bob Dylan and Terry Paul. And we go to Billy Seven. We go from Billy Four to Billy Seven. Don't ask me why, but Jim Keltner, Roger McGuinn, Terry Paul, and Bob Dylan. Music published by Ram and Horn Music, Booker T and Priscilla, courtesy of A&M Records. So they had to get A&M Records permission for Booker T and Priscilla courtesy to play with them, and that's typical. Once you're signed, you're signed. You're owned. Songs by Bob Dylan, produced by Gordon Carroll, engineered by Dan Wallen. The Burbank Studios. Okay, well, that's it. We're going to pull the vinyl out. Let's have us a little look at the vinyl here. This is, I really like this sleeve. I was reading it earlier, and I'm not about to start reading through the whole thing, but there's some really cool stuff here. Like each one of these is like a different person or band. This is Chicago, the band Chicago. I have a great Chicago story, but I want to unbox Chicago, and I have to save it for the unboxing. But something crazy happened the night I went to the Chicago concert at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Like I said, it's one of those things you don't talk about for like 35 or 40 years, unless you're with one or two of your closest confidants, because it's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, so I had a crazy time at the Chicago concert. And what they're going to, I'll read a couple little sentence here and sentence there. Chicago, with a body of work as consistent as Chicago's and a logo that's unmistakable, the Chicago word. Who needs titles? Chicago 6 is more high quality music from the prototypical horn band. And they were a horn band. Some of the songs didn't even have lyrics, you know. So anyway, so that's that's what they're saying about Chicago down here. And, you know, Chicago was one of those bands. I would liken them to, say, like an Eagles. It didn't matter what type of music you're into, how heavy of music you like. You could be listening to Ozzy Osbourne and just the heaviest stuff out there. And everybody likes Chicago, just like everybody likes the Eagles. It's one of those bands that just crossed all the lines. Everybody enjoyed Chicago. I loved Chicago. You've got, there's just some, you know, Hoopla, L.A., Carlos and John. What do we got up here? Rare and Well Done. Pure Simon. Anyway, so there's a little story on all of these. Let's go ahead and pull the vinyl out now before it falls out. Okay, so here we go. Bob Dylan. See if we get it the right way here. Okay, here we go. And this is, we've played this. The vinyl is very clean. I've had really good fortune with a lot of the used vinyl I've come across, because there's a couple of places I go. One's in Paso Robles. It's an antique store. There must be 300-400 vinyl albums there. And the guy that fills his section up, the biggest section there, was there tonight when I was over there looking at some of the stuff. And he's wanting to know what I wanted. If I bought a bunch, he'd make me a deal. But there wasn't a bunch that I wanted. There's a lot of good stuff, don't get me wrong. I mean, all kinds of Elton John, all kinds of Rod Stewart. I bought Some Girls by the Rolling Stones there in pristine condition. He had a Beatles White album there, you know, tonight. And both albums were there. And they were originals too, because I know how to tell if they're original, because I went through that unboxing my own and did all the research. But the posters were all missing, and there was only one poster, but I mean the pictures of the Beatles were all missing. The poster was missing. It was a much higher number than the one I have. You don't want that much for it, really. I mean, like $40-something. Both albums were there. Cover was decent, and the vinyl looked good. They weren't scratched. So anyway, he's got a lot of good stuff there. He's got a lot of good stuff there. You can go down there. And in 30 minutes make 10 shows, 3-4 albums a piece. You know, there's just tons and tons of stuff there. You can buy monkeys, Herman's Hermits, everything in the world. But anyway, so this is the vinyl. We've already read these crazy. Let's see, Turkey Chase. Well, Dylan, Pat Garrett, and Billy the Kid. Main title theme, Cantina theme, Cantina theme, Billy, Bunkhouse theme, River theme. Okay, and then it's Turkey Chase, Knocking on Heaven's Door. You know, I don't know about you, but I really liked Guns N' Roses' version of Knocking on Heaven's Door. You know, I mean, I love this version too. But Guns N' Roses did a really good job with Knocking on Heaven's Door. Okay, Knocking on Heaven's Door. Shh. Final theme, Billy and Billy 7. Okay, thank you. Thank you for shutting the door, my lovely daughter, Nicole. Okay, so that's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. I mean, what a crazy album. And the movie was a little crazy too. It was okay though. We enjoyed it. Like I said, it was one of those movies where it was very, very dark. You know, it was all indoors. There was hardly any lights on. It was just very dark. But anyway, it was okay. So what's going on here? What's going on in the chat? Got Caitlin and Daddy Boggs and Paul. JB, how you doing, buddy? I like their version also, but can't play it like them. Yeah, neither can I. Bob's Way. Yeah, Bob's Way is a little easier. Acoustic. Yeah, how are you feeling, JB? Had some leg issues, right? I mean, Paul. Linda Foster. Hi, Linda. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. That's okay, Linda. We talked about a lot of things. We did a shout out for our friends that have YouTube shows. We did a shout out for our friends that have Facebook shows and talked about that for a little bit. And then we unboxed a couple of Bob Dylan albums, and we've still got the finale to go. And it's a 2-album set, and it's really all the greatest hits and the greatest songs are on that one. So that'll be fun. Good to see you, Linda. Glad you could make it. Really appreciate it. I got to drink some more margarita here real quick while you guys are chatting. In my ACS, with my ACS cup. acs.custom.creations. acs.custom.creations. My granddaughter Alexis makes these. They have great lids. The rubber seal around them. She makes other things too, but these are the big seller. I mean, she makes anything from a mason jar with anything you want on it, any color you want, any design you want, you know, business logos, whatever, to your favorite bands. You know, Linda Foster had her do Dark Side of the Moon. Her husband had Leon Russell. Of course, Jimi Hendrix. Call me crazy, but I've always just absolutely loved Jimi Hendrix music. Jimi Hendrix is fantastic. I really regret never seeing him in concert. I don't know if anybody has listened to him any more than I have. Okay. All right. So how we doing? How we doing? Just the facts. My late brother-in-law was a singer and had a recording he made of Knocking on Heaven's Door at his own funeral. Oh, my God. Seriously. Wow. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. Hi, everyone. I'll have some Royce. I love my Pink Floyd cup. Wow, Dan, that's something else. You know, my younger brother he was starting his YouTube show, Floyd Moses. He's got a little video out now explaining where the name Floyd Moses came from. He's getting started. It's been, you know, he's just finding his legs, and it's going to be a great show. I can tell already. The last few things he's put on is really showing some cool direction where he's going to be going. He wants to get outside. He doesn't want to sit in an office like this, and he wants to get out and do interviews, things like that. He's a musician. He was offered a job in Wayne Newton's band. He played guitar all over Las Vegas his whole life. Great musician, you know. And so in all of his shows, he'll do a song or two. He usually starts the show with a song, something he wrote, and finishes the show with the song, something he wrote. And he's actually, working on an album he's going to make, you know. and I'm looking forward to it. I'll be happy to buy that. Anyway, so yeah, my little brother Richie, Floyd Moses. His middle name is Floyd, but I'll let him explain where the Moses came from. It's an interesting story. It's a fun story. Anyway, okay, we're doing good here. What do we got here? Paul, likewise, Linda, Mr. George. Boy, George, I've missed you, buddy. Caitlin, Bog, I did no such thing. I think the interaction between Caitlin and Daddy Boggs is almost as good as Oy Vey and the Wizard. You know, I just love that. I love the banter that gets going. Just the facts. I received a bunch of new video gear today. Hope to have the show up and running late July. Outstanding, Dan. I'll be punching your show every time I come on, every chance I get, because I know it's going to be fantastic. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. I'm getting by. You know, I'm kind of slumming. I've got my little laptop. It's got its little built-in webcam and speaker. You know, no headsets, no mic, no nothing. And to tell you the truth, this is sounding and looking as good as anything I was doing before with the mic and headset. But I will buy a nicer webcam later and spin around and attach it to my either to or above my main desktop, you know, and then I can have all my vinyl on display behind me and things like that. Well, this is cool though too. Look, I've got George's art on display behind me now. You know, we you know, I don't know who else does this, but the reason I love Bob Marley so much, I got to see Ziggy Marley out at the Pozo Saloon, and that was fun. Somebody walked up and said me and Travis were invited to the after party. We were like, yes, we're partying with Ziggy Marley, Bob Marley's son. And then when it got close to the time, I guess they forgot about us. So we actually didn't get to go to the after party, but we were looking forward to it. They have a mixed bag of stuff out there. We saw Snoop Dogg out there, of all people. Snoop Dogg, Ziggy Marley. Willie Nelson and friends would come every year, and they'd be like 20 of the biggest, most beautiful buses you ever saw parked up and down the road. Willie Nelson and friends. We got to see him one time. It's just so much fun. I mean, it just goes on and on out there. But the reason I love Bob Marley so much is his songs really lend themselves to, you know, changing the lyrics, trying to make it funnier, and inserting your friends' names into the lyrics. And it got to the point on one job between me, Travis, and Josh, where somebody could say one word and you already knew what the punchline was, and you were looking for a wall to fall against. You were laughing so hard. And we would take the Bob Marley songs and we would change the lyrics. Let me give you an example. If I was singing, say, Buffalo Soldier, and Pat the Wizard and Oy Vey were here, I might say something like, instead of Buffalo Soldier, I might say Buffalo Oy Vey, Dreadlock Wizard, Buffalo Oy Vey, coming to America. And Boggs says, I was going to say Stefan, because that's when I was going to say that before, when I brought some Bob Marley on, it was going to be Stefan. Stefan says, I. But we had all the Bob Marley songs with different names and different lyrics. And like I said, all you had to do was say one word and everybody would start laughing. And I'm not talking about just chuckling. I'm talking about we were out of control. I'm surprised we got any work done. We're doing like this huge, $250,000 interior only remodel. And yeah, we had so much fun. And it was the most fun when Bob Marley was playing. The music played every day, and Bob Marley played a lot. And we had an absolute ball listening to Bob Marley and cutting up. And I'm the kind of guy that if I see something out in public that I think is kind of humorous, I'll bring it back to the job. And in no time at all, it becomes a big deal. And I'll give you an example of that. I was in Las Vegas several years ago, and I'm playing a slot machine. And I hear this commotion behind me, and I spin around, and there's this pretty young black woman, and this with a stroller with a baby in it. And here's this, and she's in town on vacation. And here's this young black guy, and he's wearing one of these like baseball jackets, you know, red with the white sleeves and the white and red cuffs with some numbers and logos and stuff on it, like a baseball jacket with a hat on backwards. Well, just like me. And he's bouncing from foot to foot, you know, not stepping, just kind of bouncing from foot to foot. And she's saying, "Why are you trying to mess up a nice young family? I got a husband. Can't you see I got a baby here? Why are you trying to?" I turned around and looked at this slot. Oh my God. I was like, okay. Turn around, start playing my slot machine. And she, once again, "Why are you trying to mess up a nice young family?" And she did that like 3 times. And finally I turned around and decided, I just got to watch and see what happens here. And this young guy, he yells out, "I just want to hit that." Oh my God. I take that back to work, that story. I just want to hit that. And the stories that followed, every time you went to lunch or something during work and a girl walked in, it was almost a race to say something. But anyway, enough of that. So anyway, we had fun at work. We laughed a lot. One of my biggest problems, I think I laughed too much. I might be retired if I didn't laugh so much, have too much fun at work, but it was worth it. Okay, so any more in the chat here? Got Daddy Boggs. George did a great one of Carol Kyle, bass player. Oh yeah, no, I've been seeing George's stuff, not only on Facebook, but he's really got it, you know, strong on Instagram, and he's just some beautiful work. You know, hopefully before too much longer, I'll be ready for another piece. I just got to figure out what it is. You know, I love Jimi Hendrix. I got 2 Jimi Hendrix. I got Jimmy Page playing a double neck out on the entryway wall, and another Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock with the white fringe. Anyway, I'm not sure who I'd want next, to be honest with you. But when I figure it out, I'm calling George and seeing what he's got. Okay, all right. So let's get on to our final unboxing, and this is great. There's my Boo Boo Records. Yeah. Okay. All right. So here we have. Okay, got the shrink wrap still on it. The Essential Bob Dylan. Yeah, lots of light. The Essential Bob Dylan. Try to turn this so we can see a little better. I have to get rid of the shrink wrap until I get a bunch of sleeves, plastic covers for the outside. It's nice to have this on here. Here's Bob up on stage playing. What is he playing? Yeah, see, there we go. He's playing an electric guitar with humbuckers. Electric guitar with humbuckers. What a talent. Storyteller. You know who reminds me of Bob Dylan, modern day? Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. Absolutely love Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. I've got that MTV live at MTV in New York, Nirvana. And it's a 2-album set, but I've had it on CD forever. I've made multiple copies of it. You know, I used to listen to it on my Harley Davidson. You know, all of the unplugged MTV stuff was great. I think the original was Eric Clapton with Tears in Heaven. You know, and then everybody did an unplugged after that. Everybody, and so that Nirvana one. I mean, I really. I've had Nirvana in my truck now for 3 months. That very album I'm talking about, Unplugged, MTV in New York. That's been in my truck for 3 months. Love that album. And I'm going to be unboxing Grunge pretty soon and some other cool stuff that I'm working on. Maybe an album short here and there. But anyway, so let's pull some of this out. What we have here is, there's 2 albums here, okay? And oh my God, the first song. I got to get the first one out. I can't wait any longer. Let's see, is this side 1? Side B, yeah. So there's side A. Okay. Oh my God. Blowing in the Wind. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? And how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many? Okay, Bob Dylan. I used to actually play that song on the guitar. That's why I kind of know the words to it. But Blowing in the Wind, I love that song. That may be, if it's not my favorite Bob Dylan song, it's one of Royce Sings and MONROE's Ally Light. Yes, she is. That's funny, Boggs. Very observant of you. George K. Sorry, guys. I'm working on my pool and listening. Didn't see the chat. You guys are the best. Linda's here. Hey, George. Love you, brother. Okay, so Blowing in the Wind, one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs, may be my favorite Bob Dylan song. I'll let you know when I'm through reading both sides of both of these albums. Okay, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. And that's a fantastic song, too. I mean, these are the greatest hits, and they're all going to be good songs. The times they are changing. What can you say about these songs? It ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me. Okay. It ain't me, babe. Maggie's Farm. That's a great song. Oh my God. Tambourine Man. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I ain't sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Okay, this is it right here. Subterranean Homesick Blues. That is the song Jordan the Lion and I stood in London and played the Bob Dylan, maybe first video ever, while we filmed ourselves looking into the alley where Bob Dylan was standing, proving there was no foul language in his song, Subterranean Homesick Blues. If you go to my YouTube channel sometime and you go to, I think it's called European Vacation, there's that video of me and Jordan in there. Anyway, it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. So that's Subterranean Homesick Blues. Side 2, or B, Like a Rolling Stone. Positively 4th Street. Just like a woman. Just like a woman. I can't remember all the words, but something like a little girl. Rainy Day Women. There's Rainy Day Men and Women. Lay, lady, lay. Lay across my big brass bed. And knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Anyway, brand new vinyl. I have played this. I've played both these albums. And then I've kind of been saving them for the show and playing new stuff as I bring it in. Okay, so let's see. Any more Bob Dylan trivia here? Okay, self-titled. Greatest songwriters of all time, 61 to the present. He was a master poet, a social critic, and the guiding spirit of the counterculture. Now, the counterculture is kind of a big thing to me because I lived it in real time. And like I was saying in one of my previous shows, there was no Republicans. There was no Democrats. There was the establishment and us. And they hated us. We hated them back. We were the counterculture. We were against all norms, you know. I mean, growing our hair long and doing all the crazy stuff that long-haired people did. They made our parents crazy. And yeah, we were just breaking all the rules, basically. Breaking all the rules. It's really, I still think of the people that came out of the, you know, mid and late 60s and early 70s as a generation that changed the entire world. I mean, we really did. I mean, we went against everything. And like I was saying, you know, Richard Nixon, because all the leaders of the counterculture, the Jerry Rubins, I don't even remember all their names anymore. I could look them all up. I should. But these guys were all leaders of the counterculture, very, very intellectual people, college students, speakers. They were always speaking out against, you know, the Vietnam War and all this stuff. And you know, they all smoked pot, and the Nixon administration knew it. So they classified marijuana as a class 1 or class A, whatever the highest level of worst drugs are with the worst offenses, with heroin. They classified marijuana with heroin for one reason and one reason only, because they knew all the leaders of the counterculture smoked weed. It's a big part of being the counterculture. And they knew if they could arrest them, if the penalties were harsh enough, penalties like they were for possession of heroin, they could lock them all up. You know, problem solved. And that's the only reason why it was classified the way it was classified, so they could lock up the leaders of the counterculture. Anyway, we were stuck in Henderson, Nevada. We weren't really in the middle of everything. We didn't even. We were a little mix of everything, long hair, lowriders, still getting in fights, and I mean, we weren't. we were just like a Heinz 57 variety. We weren't like big dog countercultures, other than the long hair and stuff, I mean, I've never been to a protest. I've never even seen one. Anyway, okay, we've got the second album here. Let's go to side C first, A, B, C, D. Well, what do you know? I took my glasses off. Now I can't even read it. It's the worst thing you can do. Okay, what do we have here? We have Forever Young. That's a pretty song. Tangled Up in Blue. That's cool. That's a totally cool song. All these songs bring back so many memories because, we put these, Bob Dylan, 8 tracks in our cars back in the day. And we would just, listen to them for hours. And there was always something going on while you're listening to them, whether you're parked out in the desert drinking beer, whatever, And so all these memories, when I read these old songs, these memories of my friends, many of them are gone now. In fact, a friend of mine just died this past week of a heart attack. I think it was a heart attack in his sleep, and, high school friend, my age, played in bands with my younger brother. Gotta serve somebody. That's a cool song. No matter what, you gotta serve somebody. Isn't that the truth? Joker Man, Make You Feel My Love. Okay, let's go to side D. Let's see what's going on with Just the Facts. I've always had long hair, but was never a hippie. Just the Facts, Dan. That's exactly the way my friends and I were. I mean, we weren't in Haight-Ashbury. Haight-Ashbury was like the largest migration in American history. I think 100,000 people converged on San Francisco. And a good friend of mine, my ex next door neighbor who got me into surfing, just happened to be an undercover cop in San Francisco when all this was going on. And, the Golden Gate Park, you'd have, Janis Joplin playing for free, the Grateful Dead playing for free, Santana, everybody played for free at the Golden Gate Park. And everybody there was stoned out of their minds. And Pete, my ex next door neighbor, was there as an undercover cop, A funny story about Pete. I don't want to keep repeating myself every week, but Pete was getting in a lot of trouble when he was, just got out of high school. So he joined the military, and all the friends he was getting in trouble with joined the Hells Angels, in particular the Oakland Hells Angels. His good buddy Fouki was with Sonny Barger when they kind of incorporated them all under one corporation, so to speak, made rules, what you can and can't do and things like that. And Fouki was the secretary or secretary treasurer, whatever it was, under Sonny Barger when they did that. Well, that was one of Pete's best friends. Grew up with him, hanging out with him. And a couple of times Fouki and a couple of the Angels came to town. And sadly, Pete would call me to see if I wanted, whenever they came to town, they all went to sushi. And Pete would call me up and look for me and see if I wanted to go have sushi with Fouki and the boys. And he said, you should have seen the looks on their face when they walked into the Carlton. They were all wearing their Hells Angel colors. And I really felt bad. There was 2 opportunities I had where he called me and I was at work, and the construction noise was loud, the radio was playing loud, and I wasn't going to leave, let's say a job in Morro Bay and race to a task. Well, I would have actually considered it. I think it would have been quite an experience, but anyway, it didn't happen. Okay, so where were we here? Just the Facts was making a statement. Grateful Dead house in Haight-Ashbury. Okay, and now I haven't been to that. The Grateful Dead house in Haight-Ashbury. I need to make a trip up there. I was up there, in the early 70s, and I was up there much later than that. And things were kind of, half-assed normal then. They'll never be like they were in like 65 or 66, the Summer of Love, 66, 8, 9. I didn't get out of high school till 71. So sometimes we're a little behind the times. And like Dan said, I had long hair. In fact, there's many pictures of me, even into my adulthood, with my kids and everything, where I have a very long hair and a great big long beard, and I have to dig some of those out sometimes. But I was not a hippie. I just had long hair. Other than that, I was kind of normal. Okay, so side D, things have changed. Mississippi, when the deal goes down. That sounds like that era. When the deal goes down. Beyond here lies nothing. Beyond here lies nothing. Just to make sure you heard that right. That's funny. I know that song. If I hear it, I don't recognize it by name. That was Bob Dylan and somebody named Hunter. And then Long and Wasted Years. It's the last song on side D. Anyway, there's just this is a great album. Both of them are. Bob Dylan, what an artist. Oh my God. Poet, storyteller. I read a story a long time ago. I don't remember the names, but somebody went to some music producer, and said, "Hey, you need to sign this guy. You got to hear this guy. He's a poet. He's a storyteller. He's just fantastic. The kids love him." And they brought in a demo, and the guy just signed him immediately. Boom. Silverstein, something like that. Some record producer. I'll look it up later. I should have looked it up before the show, but he just signed him immediately as soon as he heard, the poetry and the storytelling and the songs was just, he was Bob Dylan was attending college, and he discovered the bohemian section of Minneapolis. It was known as, of all things, Dinky Town. And he was fascinated by the beat, by the poetry, by the folk type singing of Woody Guthrie. And in no time at all, he began performing in coffee houses and stuff. And it just went on from there, gained in popularity, Kind of reminded me of Venice in 1971. I had my apartment in North Long Beach, and my old across the street neighbor was living in Venice. And we didn't know about that. And Tommy got in a lot of trouble. Very smart guy, but he was always in trouble. And so when he called my house wanting to know where I was living, my father wouldn't tell him where I was living because he just knew. And so my father called me and he goes, Tommy called looking for you. He's living in Venice. Do you want his number? I go, of course I want his number. Well, it wasn't long he was living with me, no longer in Venice, but with me in Long Beach. But so he came down and he partied with us in Long Beach. And then he invited me up to Venice and go around and meet some of his friends and go to some of the clubs and bars. And it kind of reminded me of the story about Bob Dylan playing in the coffee houses and stuff. He'd pass these little clubs, and there'd be, a couple of people, one person playing an acoustic guitar and a big crowd around him. And everybody's having, a cocktail or something. And it was all kind of a peaceful thing. I thought, well, this is really mellow. This is cool. Then he took me to some friend's house, and everybody was trying to play an instrument, and nobody knew how to play very well. Somebody was on bongos, a bunch of people on drums and different things, and they're just screwing around. And he goes, well, let's go to this. I want to show you this bar. So we went down to this bar, and it was the last building on the street, and there were barricades, and then there was the beach in Venice Beach. And so we walk in, and we walk in, and we're having a beer, and we're bullshitting, and all of a sudden, there's two doors on the bar, one on each end of the bar itself. It's a big long bar, and the guy behind it looked like Paul Bunyan. The guy was about 6'9", plaid shirt. I mean, he looked like a lumberjack, and he's behind the bar. Somebody runs in from this door. Somebody runs in from that door. They come running across the bar and collide, fall on our table and break it in half. And I was having a good time, and then this guy comes running out from behind the bar, Paul Bunyan, with a pistol. He's got the trigger cocked back, and he's holding it to the temple of one of the guys. He's yelling, "You're not going to, I'll say, mess up my place." That's not how he put it. "You are not going to mess up my place. You're not going to mess up my place." And so they kind of let go of each other, and they just, walked out their respective doors, and that was the end of it. But it was kind of a wild scene that night. Anyway, so what's going on in the chat here? We got just the facts that JB. What was JB? Daddy Boggs. I'm fat, not lean at all. Yeah, I'm a little heavy myself. I'm actually losing a little weight now because I'm working on these really tough construction jobs where I run up and down a 2-story ladder all day carrying tools. And I stand on that 2-story ladder just leaning with my shins against the rungs of the ladder, which actually makes my shins bleed, because I'm leaning with my weight against that to keep from falling over while I'm using 2 hands on a skill saw, cutting this dry rotted fascia board out. And, then I have to get a different tool to do this and a different tool to do that. And I'm just up and down the ladder, up and down the ladder, up and down the ladder. And anyway, so I when I get home, man, I'm pretty worn out, and a lot of times I just skip lunch. I didn't have lunch today. I didn't have lunch yesterday. I didn't have lunch the day before or breakfast. And so I've dropped a few pounds, but that's good. I have a class reunion coming up. We'll see if we can keep it going. Okay, let's see. Daddy Boggs. Oh, 3-pointer for JB. A 3-pointer for JB Tharp. Okay. Last I heard, he was at Alice's restaurant. All right. Who was at Alice's restaurant? Caitlin. What is the Clippers score? Oh, the big game is happening. JB Tharp. Me too. Down 11 pounds so far. 29 more for under 200. Yeah, I was looking at depends on where I put the scale on the floor. I move it around a little bit to try to find an average. Every time I move it, it changes. I went between 205 and 207 this morning after a few days of not eating. We'll see how long that lasts. But the highest I've ever been is 225. And then I go down around 212. And I think I'm going to use that as a starting point to go down more. But before I know it, I'm pushing 220. So anyway, 205 to 207 right now. So I got to get serious. I have a class reunion in Henderson, Nevada in October. So we'll see what we can do. JB Tharp, 205, my baby picks. Well, I think I was 165 pounds when I graduated high school. And then, of course, as I got older and worked out and, weightlifted a little bit and stuff, I used to consider myself fat at 184, I just really disgusted with myself, at 184. And so I'm a long ways from 184, 60, 70, well, a long ways. 24, 16, 20, 24, 5 pounds, But I mean, then again, when I was weightlifting, 3 or 4 nights a week and surfing twice a week, I could get up to 199 and not feel fat at all, between the protein powder while you're working out, before, during, and after, and the creatine in the parking lot before you come in. And everybody was taking all these supplements, to help get big, And a friend of mine who was, one of the most fit guys I ever met, very, very strong. He started, putting supplements together. I can't remember what you call it, but he was grouping a bunch of stuff together, stacking. He was stacking a bunch of stuff together because he was always a real strong guy, and everybody started catching up with him, and he wasn't going to have that. And because he stacked so many things together to grow his muscle size, it thickened his blood, and he had a stroke, and it paralyzed half his body. And that's why I quit taking any kind of supplements. And Ray was in such good shape, lifelong martial artist. He was a, security, not security, but a guard at one of the prisons at Soledad, California. And always in just such great shape. He actually recovered fairly quickly. But when he first came in, like I said, half his body was paralyzed, like 2-pound weight, when it used to be like a, 60-pound weight with curls or something. He was a strong guy, but it was surprising because it took about a year and he was completely recovered. I never seen anything like it. I've seen other people that have had strokes. They never get any better. You know, I know there's different intensities, but whatever. JB Tharp, actually 165 at high school graduation, 185 at time of marriage, 285 right before heart surgery. At least I'm going back in the right direction. Yeah, thank God, you know, JB. Wow, 165 to 285. Well, something about those home cooked meals, you know what? I mean, when you're single and on the run, you know, sometimes you forget all about food. You just running around and going crazy. But okay, so Adam D. Hey, Bogman. Hey, Adam, how are you, buddy? I haven't got to catch much of the chat, so I don't know how long you've been here, but I want to thank you for dropping in. You know, I got a question to ask my friends. Okay, I got a question to ask everybody. This is Saturday night. Okay, now since the pandemic started, I haven't had any kind of a show prior to the pandemic. This is like number 15, so not even 4 months. So, you know, um, what is going to be a good night for a show? And the reason I'm asking that is because when you get to the cities, a lot of people like to go to their favorite clubs, pubs, you know, bars, and they hang out. I mean, we had a place like that here in a Atascadero called the Carlton. And I'm not exaggerating. On Friday or Saturday night, if you stayed there long enough, everybody you knew before the night was over came in and had a drink. You know, everybody you knew stopped by. Okay. And they had a great restaurant. You get some live music. Sometimes they'd have little competitions, you know, where people would, you know, take turns playing a couple of songs and singing. And or they might just have somebody playing, a couple of guys playing guitars all night, or girls or whatever. But in addition to the nice restaurant and that, and it was a beautiful building, it was an old hotel, and fortunately, somebody was willing to spend $27 million, and all they saved was just the facade, the two outside walls, and completely rebuilt, you know, to modern, you know, structural standards. $27 million, and they hired a 5-star chef from Atlantic City to do the design of the restaurant and to run the restaurant. And so everybody was really excited about that. And right before the restaurant opened, the owner fired the 5-star chef, and everybody was not excited about that, and put his daughter in charge of the restaurant. And yeah, it was still good, but it, you know, it was far from 5-star. Let me put it that way. They did have good rack of lamb. I love the rack of lamb. But in addition to the restaurant, there was a great big long sushi bar. And that's what we loved. We always loved the sushi bar. We'd go in there 2-3 nights a week and have sushi, you know. I'll never forget one time I went in there, and there was a young friend of mine. He was actually cousin of my ex-son-in-law. Used to be married to Amber, the good son-in-law. We're still friends today. Anyway, so I get in there, and there's Justin sitting there, and Justin says, "Hey, Royce, you gonna have some sushi?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "You gonna have some?" He goes, "No, I already ate." I go, "Oh, okay, I'll order some." And he goes, "Well, you know what? Let me order it. I'll have some more." I love sushi. And so, I mean, they brought out like 4 tall hot sakis, and more sushi than I've ever ordered for 2 people. We got all done. The guy brings the bill over, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to be like, you know, $250. Brings the bill over, and I go, hey, Justin, let me get half of that. How much is it? He goes, it's $30. I go, you're out of your mind. We had more than that just in sake. He goes, yeah. He goes, the trick is you tip the you tip the sushi cooks well. I shouldn't say cooks. You cook the sushi makers well, and the bill's really small, you know. So he'd always give the guys that made the sushi a big tip. They'd give him like a bill that was like, you know, 10% of what it should have been. I went, wow, thanks for that, buddy. I just learned something, you know. Anyways, but my whole point was that it was one of those. And let me get back to my point. I almost forgot. I'm asking, what is a good night to have a show? Because it occurs to me as things are opening back up and people are getting to go sit around the tables, socialize, sit at the bars, sit at the clubs, especially in the cities, you know, where they love doing that kind of stuff, and the small towns too. They're not going to be home on Friday and Saturday night. You know, is it better on Thursday night, Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday hump night? Monday, nobody wants to do anything on Monday. You're so miserable that it's the first day back to work. Anyway, what is your guys' opinion? What would be the best night for a live show, podcast, or anything? Saturday still good? Or are we going to lose half our audience to, beer and alcohol? I'd like to hear from everybody. What would be a good night? Wednesday or Thursday? Adam D. Thank you. I agree with JB. Sunday evenings, everyone's at home. Betty said the same thing earlier. Caitlin, I posted my podcast on Friday. Okay, so Gloria says Thursday. I was thinking Thursday. Adam D says Wednesday or Thursday. Just the facts. I agree with JB. Sunday evening, everyone is home. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Everyone's home on Sunday, chilling. Daddy Bog says Wednesday or Thursday. Caitlin, Mondays. I have a video posted. Okay, Monday's in there. Adam D, I pop in anytime I can, though, regarding of the day. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate seeing you here, Adam. Always good to see my friends in here. This is great. I really appreciate every one of you. Hey, what would a show be if nobody showed up? It's not easy to get. There's a lot of shows out there. People have a lot to choose from. I mean, Daddy Boggs turned me on to the Beach Boys live, and I watched it the other day, and I really enjoyed it. A couple of young guys, they're brothers. They had some 13-year-old Beach Boy, fanatic on that knew everything in the world about Beach Boys at 13 years old. Is that right, Daddy Boggs? 13, I think you told me. I was blown away. And the guy that does most of the talking's got some silly hat on with, I think there's some little animal on it or something. Kind of a little bit like MONROE, but MONROE was cuter. Huh, Mo? You okay, baby? She's looking at me like, you take the suit off now, Dad. Okay, so anyway, so that's good. We're getting I've seen Monday through Sunday. Mine's Friday and Saturday, but Adam D said he'll pop in anytime, which is cool. But he also said Wednesday or Thursday would be good. Daddy Boggs, 13 is correct. Tuesday night, Beach Boys Talk on Facebook. Yeah, they're on Tuesday. And Boggs, didn't that show go something like 2.5 hours? I mean, if you can imagine, it's an all Beach Boys show. I mean, people come on that have big collections and things like that and know everything there is to know. I'm surprised Boggs isn't the co-host. He knows more about the Beach Boys than anybody I know. Okay, Caitlin. I'm fine with Sunday as well. George, Adam D, good to see you here, brother. Right on. Good to see you both here, George. Okay, so, well, that's it, folks. Okay, Daddy Bog, the first half hour at 7:30, they play music. Oh, okay. So they play music for 30 minutes and the show starts at 8 on Tuesday. Beach Boys Live. Yeah. I thought that was fun. It was entertaining. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, they say if you're going to have a show, you need to define, what is the purpose of your show? What purpose does it serve? What is your audience going to get from you? And I guess all you can say about a show like this is you're trying to entertain. It's a little bit educational. We talk about music and the performers and the songs and a little bit of history about it. Like we were talking about, Bob Dylan, hanging out in this bohemian area of Minneapolis, and it called Dinky Town. And he really got into Woody Guthrie stuff, folk songs and stuff like that. So that was a big influence on him. Woody Guthrie was great, So anyway, we're working on let's see, Daddy Bog on June 29th. I'm going to be on. Oh, okay, Daddy Boggs will be on Beach Boys Live. I need to change my show in the near future to a podcast. I want to be able to have people on, I want to be able to have all of you on, right? I mean, you know who my celebrities are? I'm not going to be out chasing celebrities and trying to compete with other vinyl shows that have this network of celebrities. The celebrities to me are here in the chat right now. These are my celebrities. These are the people I want on my show. I don't give two shits about them other people, I don't like to glorify all that. That's not, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a fan of people. I mean, I may be the biggest, Muhammad Ali fan that ever lived. Would have loved an opportunity to get his autograph, and he was at all the sports shows too. I probably had the biggest mistake I made. I had an opportunity to buy a pair of Muhammad Ali gloves in a display case with his signature on the pair, and it was $3.99. I was like, no, it's not that bad, but and I passed on it. And you could still go to the sports shows when he was alive. He got paid, I think, 10 grand to show up at a sports show and just sign autographs, And he did a lot of stuff like that. I love that guy, man. He was, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. And that's just, a lot of people didn't like him because they thought he was cocky and mouthy and arrogant, but it was all an act. I got this video of him starting when he was in the Olympics all the way up to, fairly modern times when he was still fighting, all the great fights with Frazier and Kenny Norton, Ernie Shavers, all those great fights. I have all of them on VHS tapes, and I have one that's the history of Muhammad Ali's life, his whole life, showed him fighting in the Olympics, But what was really fun about that one was the joking around, all that stuff that people would get mad at him for, bragging and stuff. If you were watching him on film doing it, everybody in the room was laughing. He was being funny. I mean, that guy was such a natural born comedian, and really a funny guy. He was just great. But I mean, I've had all kinds of, sure. I mean, I would love to have met Jimi Hendrix, had his autograph. But when I say I'm not chasing celebrity, that doesn't mean I'm not a fan of people. I've got sports people I'm a fan of, musicians I'm a fan of, actors I'm a fan of, but I'm not chasing those people. I'm not obsessed with them. It's like my daughter, Amber. She's obsessed with celebrity. She started making her trips to LA while she was still married to Tim. And I went over to her house one day, and right in the middle of this collage of family pictures was some black guy with his hat on backwards and a tank top on. I looked and I got, this is right between her kids and, family members. And I go, Amber, who's that? She goes, oh, I don't know, but he's somebody. Like, somebody? I mean, is he a baseball player, a football player? Is he an actor? What? I don't know, but he's somebody. And she was so impressed that he was some kind of celebrity, didn't know his name or even what he did. She took his picture and put it on her living room wall in the middle of all her family pictures. And this is Amber. And this is what, we went to a show in Hollywood on Sunset, Betty and I and her and Stefan. And it was something like Let There Be Rock, one of these rock musicals, and it was a great show. And afterward, we went over to the Rainbow Club, and Caitlin and I were talking about this the other night. There's a band out there called the Hollywood Vampires with Johnny Depp and some different people. I asked her if she knew who the Hollywood Vampires was, and she thought I was referring to that group. Well, no. The upstairs of the Rainbow Club was a room only for the Hollywood Vampires. And they consisted of Alice Cooper, George Harrison, Lynn, what's his first name? Electric Light Orchestra. I can't think of his first name right now. Electric Light Orchestra. When Yoko Ono kicked John Lennon out, he started coming to the meetings with them. Tom Petty was there, and this group was called the Hollywood Vampires. And nobody could go in this room but them. And they were the original Hollywood Vampires. So there's a lot of history at the Rainbow Club. In fact, Joe DiMaggio took Marilyn Monroe there for their first date, And so we were sitting in there, and Stefan was telling stories, Hollywood lore kind of stories. And Amber sat there with this glazed look on her face. And it was like, oh my God, Stefan knows all this stuff about all these celebrities. This is just, man, what I buy. Anyway, she's always been really obsessed with celebrities. But again, my celebrities are the people in the chat right now. These are the people that if I get my podcast going, I can have guests on. I want you on my show. I'll give two shits about who played drums for so-and-so. But don't get me wrong. If George or Just the Facts or, anybody, JB goes, hey, a buddy of mine plays drums for, Alice in Chains. And I was telling him about your show and he's going to be in town. He'd kind of like to come on. Of course. Of course. I'm not going to say no, but I'm not obsessed with chasing down celebrity to be on the show. Like I said, I'll say it again, last time, final time. My celebrities are in the chat. They're supporting me. I want them to come on, tell a story. You want to bring a record, bring a record. I don't want to turn it into a vinyl competition. I don't want to copy anybody else's show. I'm not going there, okay? I just want to come on, talk, have conversation, try to make it as entertaining as I can. And obviously, if you have more people on interacting, it's going to be more entertaining. You know, it's kind of hard to carry the whole thing yourself for a couple of hours. But if you have people on, then it's easier for me, but it's more fun. And that's the whole idea, is to have more fun with it. Right, Monroe? Huh, Moy? Huh? Are you okay, baby? Okay. All right. So I guess with that, I'm gonna sign off. I want to thank you all so much for coming on the show. Had a great time. Caught up on the Jeff Lynne. Thank you. Jeff Lynne, Electric Light Orchestra. Also in the Traveling Wilburys, but he was one of the Hollywood vampires, you know, and he was real popular with the Electric Light Orchestra, was real popular with the members of the Beatles and stuff. And Jeff Lynne was a super talent. He's got a great voice. Okay, so Caitlin Stoddard loved it. Thank you very much. Finally, after months, I'm being recognized as a celebrity. JB, you are a celebrity, brother. You are a celebrity. Everybody on this show is a celebrity. Gloria, JB laughing. Night all. Okay, Daddy Boggs, thanks for showing up again, buddy. Just the fact. Thanks, Royce. Enjoy hearing your stories. Thank you very much, Dan. I really appreciate it. I'm very sorry for what you've been going through, man. It breaks my heart. It really does. All right. Well, okay, guys. Thank you very much. That's what's going on in Royce's world today. And I'm going to end this stream right now. Thanks again. Good night.